The scale of a human lifetime can be hard to conceptualize, with the magnitude of how big or small it is being drowned out in matters of simple day-to-day life. We all go through our lives knowing that we'll probably live into our 70s or 80s, and making some plans for how we will spend all of those years. But for the most part, thinking about today or the near future and past. But what if we could take that scale and compress it all into a single day? What if all the resources that a person consumed had to be provided all at once, and all that they would produce or create in their life appeared at once, rather than being spread over a whole lifetime? This video, and any others in this series, will address that question, specifically looking at the resources that an average individual will consume. Looking at our topic for today, how many chickens does a person eat in their life? You might have recently bought a bag of frozen chicken breasts at the grocery store, ordered in some fried chicken, or if you were really hungry, polished off a whole Costco rotisserie chicken by yourself. Hey, I'm not judging. Between your freezer, fridge, and pantry, you might have several chickens worth stocked up to eat over the next few weeks. For example, in my house, we currently have approximately 17 pounds of chicken, split between frozen chicken breasts and canned chicken, and some frozen foods with chicken in them. That is probably somewhere around 4 chickens worth. So, how about over a lifetime of eating chicken? How much will an average person eat? There are around 32 billion chickens in the world at one time, outnumbering humans by around 4 to 1. But we eat a lot more than that, because most chickens that we eat are what are known as broiler chickens, and are slaughtered at around 7 weeks. In total, the world eats nearly 74 billion chickens every year. And with approximately 8.142 billion people on Earth, that averages out to about 9 chickens per person per year. It is a colossal number of chickens, and at an average worldwide life expectancy of 73.3 years, it would mean that your average person would eat about 664 chickens in their lifetime. If you're like me though, this number seems awfully low. Like I said, I probably have around 4 chickens worth of meat in my house, right now. Surely 9 chickens a year is too small a number. That would mean about 1 chicken every 6 weeks. If you are having that thought, perhaps you are an American. And if you are an American, that thought is absolutely right. Americans are some of the wealthiest people in the world, and thus are able to afford meat as a daily part of their diet. Then, there is the stereotype of large American appetites, where we are famous, or infamous, for large portion sizes and obesity. And though I think this is exaggerated, it undeniably has some basis in reality. And finally, there is a preference in America for chicken over other types of meat. In a lot of places, pork is the preferred meat. And while pork and beef are popular in America, we actually eat way more chicken. Per capita chicken consumption being 103.7 pounds, beef at 59.2 pounds, and pork at 50.7 pounds. These 3 reasons, being relatively wealthy on the global scale, having a culture of large appetites, and a specific love of chicken, all add up to Americans eating way more chicken than the average person on Earth. How much more though? Americans eat over 9 billion chickens per year, and divided by 347.5 million Americans. That means that an average American eats 26 chickens a year, about 3 times as much as the average person in the world. I find this number much easier to believe personally, as it would mean a chicken every 2 weeks, instead of every 6. How about for a whole lifetime then? The average life expectancy in America stands at 78.39 years. So with a few extra years and a much bigger appetite for chicken than the average person on Earth, an American will eat approximately 2,038 chickens over their life. That's a much bigger number, and trying to imagine that many chickens in one spot is pretty hard to do. If I put them all in my house, there would barely be any spots I could stand without stepping on a chicken. You know who doesn't have to imagine how many chickens that would look like? Chicken farmers, that's who. No kidding? I guess the question was a bit on the obvious side. In chicken farming, the birds live in chicken houses, supersized versions of the little chicken coops that some people have in their yards. These chicken houses, also called broiler houses, referring to the target age and size of the chickens raised there, are massive, holding many times more birds than that lifetime number of 2,038 chickens. I do feel obliged to note that the birds raised in these facilities lived very cramped, uncomfortable lives, all in the name of the efficiency necessary for for the normal person to eat that many chickens in their life, and it would definitely be better if we could find a way to improve their living conditions in the process. I guess you could say we want to have our chicken and eat it too. Broiler houses are the most tightly packed of the different types of these buildings. It is common for there to be less than 1 square foot per bird in these warehouse-like buildings. And while their sizes vary significantly, at the density of 1 bird per square foot, a 60 by 600 foot building would have at least 36,000 chickens inside. But if you have a larger building, or a greater density, that number could be much higher, with a few chicken houses in the world being able to house more than 100,000 chickens at once. Because broiler chickens reach their target weight within a few weeks, a broiler house can raise 4 to 8 flocks per year, which further shows the scale that a single poultry farm can have. These farms being so huge is necessary though, as the number of farms required to feed people the number of chickens that they want to eat would be unreasonable if they were much smaller. Going inside even a smaller broiler house, you would see many more chickens than an average American would eat in their life. Using the 36,000 number we gave for one broiler house, that would mean that walking in, you would see a flock with more chickens than 17 Americans would eat in their whole life. Now that we know what a lifetime supply of chicken actually looks like, what if a person had it all at once in only one form factor? Saying that one chicken will provide about 4 pounds of meat and a normal chicken nugget will weigh 0.6 ounces isn't quite enough to figure it out, as there are other ingredients, and the meat will lose some of its weight when cooked. Meat loses around 25% of its weight when cooked, and let's say that about a third of the weight of the final nugget is breading, oils, spices, etc. Your mileage may vary depending on where the nugget is from. With that information, we can calculate that 4 pounds becomes 3 pounds of cooked meat, and if you add in the other ingredients, that becomes 4.5 pounds of finished chicken nuggets, which is approximately 120 chicken nuggets per chicken. Multiply that by our average American's lifetime chicken consumption of 2,038 chickens, and that would be a 244,560 piece chicken nugget meal. After all this, I think we can be grateful for the existence of the chicken. Really appreciate how many of them we actually eat. We eat more chickens than any other animal by a large margin, and the number is only growing. How about you? Was the number larger or smaller in the end than you thought it would be? Let me know in the comments, and like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. And you have a great day.